Translation purport by His Divine Grace, Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. A grihastha must associate again and again with saintly persons. And with great respect he must hear the nectar of the activities of the Supreme Lord and His incarnations, as these activities are described in Srimad Bhagavatam and other Puranas. Thus one should gradually become detached from affection for his wife and children, exactly like a man awakening from a dream. So this purport is really long. It's long. And Prabhupada in the purport is describing materialistic householder life. Are you ready? Okay. This is materialistic householder life. Okay. The Krishna conscious movement has been established to give grihasthas all over the world an opportunity to hear Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita specifically. The process described in many ways is one of hearing and chanting Srinvata Swakata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtanaha. Everyone, especially grihasthas who are mudhadi, ignorant about the goal of life, should be given the opportunity to hear about Krishna. Simply by hearing, by attending lectures in different centers of the Krishna conscious movement, where topics of Krishna from Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam are discussed, they will be purified from their sinful inclination for constant indulgence in illicit sex, meat-eating, intoxication, and gambling, which have all become prominent in the modern days. Thus, they can be raised to the status of light, Punya Shravana Kirtanaha. Simply by joining the kirtan, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. And by hearing about Krishna from Bhagavad Gita, one must be purified, especially if he also takes prasad. This is all going on in the Krishna consciousness movement. This is a public service announcement. Another specific description here is Shrinvan Bhagavato Bhikshnam Avatarta Katamritam. It is not that because one has once finished Bhagavad Gita, he should not hear it again. The word abhikshnam is very important. We should hear again and again. There is no question of stopping. Even if one has read these topics many times, he should go on reading again and again, because Bhagavad Gita, the words spoken by Krishna and the words spoken by Krishna and spoken by Krishna's devotees about Krishna are amritam, nectar. The more one drinks this amrita, the more he advances in eternal life. This is an important point. The more one drinks this amrita, nectar about the pastimes of the Lord, the more one advances in spiritual life. Jai Sri Sri Radha Gokula Nanda Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman Gauratai Ki Jai. The human form of life is meant for liberation, but unfortunately due to the influence of Kali Yuga, every day the grihasthas are working hard like asses. Prabhupada says asses. Early in the morning they rise and travel even 100 miles away to earn bread, especially in Western countries. I have seen, Prabhupada's talking now, I have seen that people awake at 5 o'clock to go to the offices and factories to earn their livelihood. People in Calcutta and Bombay also do this every day. They work very hard in the office or factory, and again they spend 3 or 4 hours in transportation returning home. Then they retire at 10 o'clock and again rise early in the morning to go to their offices and factories. This kind of hard labor is described in the Shastras as the life of pigs and stool eaters. Haribol. So we're in the animal farm here. Don't go outside. Stay. Nayam deho deha bhajam niloke kastan kama ariti vidbujan ye. Of all the living entities who have accepted material bodies in this world, one who has been awarded this human form should not work hard day and night simply for sense gratification, which is available even for dogs and hogs that eat stool. Bhagavatam 5.5.1. One must find some time for hearing Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita. This is Vedic culture. One should work 8 hours at most. Prabhupada gives the formula. Don't work more than 8 hours. At most, to earn his livelihood. And either in the afternoon or in the evening, a householder should associate with devotees to hear about the incarnations of Krishna and his activities, and thus be gradually liberated from the clutches of Maya. However, instead of finding time to hear about Krishna, the householders, after working hard in offices and factories, find time to go to the restaurant or club, or instead of hearing about Krishna and his activities, they are very much pleased to hear about political activities of demons and non-devotees, and to enjoy sex, wine, women, and meat, and in this way they waste their time. Haribol. This is not grihastha life, but demoniac life. The Krishna conscious movement, however, with its centers all over the world, gives such fallen and condemned persons an opportunity to hear about Krishna. That's the highest welfare work, to give a person a chance to become Krishna conscious. In a dream, we form a society of friendship and love, and when we awaken, we see that it has ceased to exist. Similarly, one's gross society, family, and love are also a dream. Are you sure? Okay. In a dream, we form a society of friendship and love, and when we awaken, we see that it has ceased to exist. Similarly, one's gross society, family, and love are also a dream. And this dream will be over as soon as one dies. Therefore, whether one is dreaming in a subtle way or in a gross way, these dreams are all false and temporary. One's real business is to understand that one is a soul, aham brahmastami, and that his activities should be different. Then one can be happy. Brahma bhuta prasannatmaha na sochiti na kankshati satam savisu bhuteshu mad bhaktim lavate param. Who knows the translation? One who is transcendentally situated at once realizes the Supreme Brahman and becomes very joyful. He never laments nor desires to have anything. He is equally disposed to all living beings. In that state, he attains pure devotional service unto me. These are the words of Krishna from Bhagavad Gita. One who is engaged in devotional service can very easily be liberated from the dream of materialistic life. We might add, the nightmare. Some people are dreaming and some people are in a nightmare. Om agyan timirandasya gyana jana salakaya chaksu unmilitam yena tasmai shri gurave namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Staptitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadanti Swam Padantikam Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. So, Prabhupada says that Srimad Bhagavatam tells everything like it is. He uses the word threadbare. When you take a cloth and you bring it down to its most simplest part, you come up with a thread. So in the same way, but Srimad Bhagavatam doesn't patronize, socialize, compromise. It simply tells it like it is. And that's why it's called the topmost scripture. Here again, what is it saying? Now this is materialistic household life. The purpose of life is to realize God. And in the Varnashram system, there are 4 ashrams: brahmachari, grihastha, vanaprastha, and sannyas. And all are meant to become Krishna conscious. It's not like one is more meant to be Krishna conscious and one is more meant to be Krishna conscious and something else. All the ashrams are meant. Ashram means place of spiritual cultivation. That's the actual translation of the word. A place where you cultivate your spiritual life. So in Grihastha ashram, there are principles that govern proper execution of one's duties in relationship to family, to society, and also to Krishna. All 3, of course. Now here, what we're hearing about is something that is an aberration. That is not, but the aberration or the deficiencies of the materialistic house law, it seems like it is the norm. It goes on as what is considered to be the way to live. What is the way to live? That to enjoy your senses to the end of life. Nunam pramatta kurute vikarma yat indriya pritiya apanote asadumanye asananyam asandapikaisa dehasa deha. This is also Rishabdev. And what does he say? Nunam pramatta. Pramatta, matta means mad. Pramatta means really mad, crazy, insane. Prabhupada said when a person is pramatta, they run around naked in the streets. Prabhupada talks about this. He said it was one very respectable man in our society in Bengal, scholar, I can't remember the name. But at one point in his life he went mad. He's just running around naked. That's pramatta. So the word pramatta is being used in the Srimad Bhagavatam to describe what is the consciousness of people in general. What are they mad out of? Indriya priti. To enjoy the senses, the pleasures of sense gratification as much as possible. And therefore, what do they do? In order to do that, they work hard. Nayam deho deho bhajan nirloka kastan karma vidbhujan jay. What is vidbhujan jay? Animals. Animals are meant to work. They provide the society with some service by doing certain types of work. So animals are meant to work. And they work and they get their food. That is their reward. But for a human being to work hard is against actually the principles of human life. There may be a little endeavor in order to get what one needs to keep body and soul together. But to become absorbed in working practically the whole day and spending one's time, energy, and what we say, intelligence, just to, what we say, get facility for sense gratification. And therefore, the Bhagavatam says, this is simply animal life. Human society, or today's present deficient human society, teaches us that you are deficient. You need so many things. 150 years ago, maybe even before that, they did a survey. They're always doing surveys. That's the only thing they have to do these days. A new survey. It's always coming out with a new survey. They should do a survey on how many surveys they've done. No. They'll probably do that too. And 150 years ago, there's two things. It's called essential and non-essential. The essentials is what you need to live. You need food. Obviously, you need a place to stay, some family life, some, education, health care. These are what we say basic necessities of the human life. And then there's what is called non-essentials. Those things that you can live without and still live happily and nicely. Now, 150 years ago, the commodities that were available in the world at that time, 95% of the things that were available were considered to be essential. And 5% were extra. today's statistics, so this is a recent statistic, it's the opposite figure. 95% of the things that's on the market are called non-essential. You can do without it. And still somehow or other live happily in this world. Of course, if you have to take up Krishna consciousness, of course. But the point is that people spend so much useless time, energy, so much valuable time and energy, I should say, not use, in a useless way. Why? Just to get the basic necessities of life. The Lord provides everything automatically. Prabhupada says the elephant, how much does he eat a day? 40 kgs. And who's supplying the elephant? The same person that's supplying the human being. God is supplying everyone. He's called Vishrambar. He's actually feeding the entire universe. There's no need for the humans to work simply like animals for the basic necessities of life. But everyone is working so hard, and therefore they work so hard that all they can do when they come back sometimes is just go to sleep. Or trying to find some relief from the day's work through some kind of intoxication or some kind of entertainment, which is simply another form of intoxication. So this is today's world. So the Krishna consciousness movement, as Prabhupada said, is trying to provide a way out of that animal type of existence by giving persons a chance to become Krishna conscious by what? Simply by hearing about the glories of the Lord. This is called Amrita. If you drink poison, you die. And if you take nectar, you live. And you enjoy life. So this is the nectar. And not only is it Amrita, but a nectar, but it's really the essence of what we're looking for in life. That happiness, that fulfillment, simply to hear and chant the glories of the Lord. Satam prasangam mamavirya sambido bhavanti ritkarna rasayana kata. The glories of the Lord are nectar for the ear and for the heart. And the more we hear it, the more the heart opens up, and that nectar just fills our minds and hearts. Therefore, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, although he was the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he was teaching, but also relishing the nectar of the pastimes of great devotees. He would listen to the pastimes of Prahlad Maharaj and Dhruva Maharaj every day from the lips of Gadadhar Pandit. And he would hear the pastimes over and over and over again. He'd be absorbed, both teaching and also relishing these pastimes of great souls. So the Lord, He's teaching us where the actual happiness is. But people become habituated to think that without working, I can't live. This is the illusion. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu approached Srivas Thakur, and he said, Srivas, you have a big family. You got it's extended family. He had all his, there was 3 or 4 brothers. They were living, same place, with their wives and children, big. And he said to Srivas, how do you live? You don't do anything. You don't work. Srivas responded in a very interesting way, unexpected way. He clapped. And he went like that 3 times. That was the answer he gave to the Lord. And the Lord looked at him like, well, what does that mean? He wanted to know. And then Srivas gave the answer. And this answer is very powerful. He said, one day, if the Lord doesn't feed me, 2 days if the Lord doesn't feed me and my family, 3 days, then I drown myself in the Ganga. That's what he said. When Lord Chaitanya heard that, he became amazingly happy. He roared so loud it shook the universe. I won't try to do that, but he did. He really roared loud. And he said, Srivas, even if Lakshmi, the goddess of fortune herself, has to go door to door begging for food, there'll always be food in your home. You'll always have whatever you need. In other words, he had such faith that engaging in devotional service, the Lord would take care of him completely. And it's a fact. Of course, when I tell this story, I tell, don't try it unless you have that faith of Srivas. Because if you don't have the faith of Srivas, it might be difficult. Because you'll be worried. Well, Krishna, I surrendered. Now, come on. Where are you gonna give me what I need? It's not like that. We have to surrender, and we know that Krishna will take care of his devotees. He always takes care of his devotees. He's taking care of the non-devotees. Even the non-devotees don't know how to take care of themselves. He makes up the difference. He gives them protection. He saves them from a lot of their own suffering, at least to some degree. That's Krishna's arrangement. That's his love for each and every living entity. But everyone is turning away and working so hard. And that's the illusion, that you need something. What we need is Krishna. That's all. When we have Krishna, what is that verse? One who knows Krishna knows everything. How does that verse go? Yasyan bhavanti. Bhavanti. That's the last word. Yasmin. Bhavanti bhavanti. One who knows Krishna knows everything. And there's nothing left to be known, or nothing left to do. So Krishna consciousness is ultimately the sum total. So here we see today's materialistic society just working so hard. One job, sometimes two jobs. Sometimes I hear stories of families where there's a wife working and the husband working, and they don't see each other until the weekend. Yeah. They work different shifts. One's working the day shift, one's working the night shift. And, they send each other notes, just to let them know what they're doing. But they don't see each other. What's the use of getting into that relationship if you simply have to work hard? For what? And Prabhupada and the Shastra says, it is simply animal life. Just like the donkey. I remember I was in, the donkey story, right? Everybody knows that donkey story. The donkey, he's stupid. He doesn't have any brains. He's considered the fool of the animal kingdom. Even the animals have their own level of, the tigers. They have their echelon and they have their, their different clubs. So the donkey, he's the fool. He works. You can put so much load on his back. And then he doesn't move because he's lazy. But you put a carrot in front of his nose or something, he says, oh, prashad, and then he starts moving, right? And he's thinking, one more step and the carrot will be mine. But because he doesn't know that the carrot's moving along with him, he's just moving along. And the washerman or the man is getting his load carried by this foolish donkey who's thinking, I'm going to get a carrot someday. Now he could also eat grass, which is along the road, but he doesn't think of that because he sees the carrot, and the grass is just as nice. And finally, when he gets to the end, and the load is there, then the washerman, if he's nice, he gives the donkey the carrot. If he's not, he eats it himself. I remember I was in Kolhapur. I was giving a lecture at one temple, and I told this story. And I was with Radhanath Maharaj. So the next day we were sitting together in the morning chanting japa on the roof of somebody's house. And the next day a donkey came right by the place. And Maharaj said, the donkey came to see you to thank you about that story. So he showed up just to let me know that was a good story. So anyway, this is materialistic life. You can't win, and you can't stop playing. But people have, there's some simple materialistic life, that if people live simply, there's some type of happiness in materialistic life. Although it's not very much happiness, still, But people are so educated today, with so many degrees and so many, when we say qualifications in so many areas, and still they don't even know how to be happy materialistically. That's amazing. I joined the Hare Krishna movement just to get a better materialistic understanding of life. That was one of the reasons I joined. I thought, these people live pretty good. I got to figure out how they live, because, I don't want to work. I never liked to work. I just hated work. There's that cartoon. There was this one guy, he would say work. He'd go, what? You ever seen that on the television? Work! And he would just go into contortions and convulsions when he heard the word work. Well, I was like that. I never liked to work. Because I always thought, why work? Life is meant to have fun. It's meant to enjoy. But then again, I didn't know what real enjoyment meant until I saw the devotees. And I said, these people really know how to enjoy. And what are they doing? They're singing and dancing and eating nice food. That's real enjoyment. So I joined. I'm still here. So people in the materialistic world, Jai Shri Shri Radha Gokulananda Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman Gornitai Ki Jai. They simply struggle. I'd like to read you the words of Prahlad Maharaj from the same canto, 7th canto. He describes this chapter is Prahlad's instructions to his demoniac schoolmates. And he's describing a little bit about the nature of a householder. He says, of course it's very long, so I'll just get to some of them. What person too attached to household life, due to being unable to control his senses, can liberate himself? An attached householder is bound very strongly by ropes of affection for his family, wife, children, and relatives. Money is so dear that one conceives of money as being sweeter than honey. Therefore, one who can give up the desire to accumulate money, especially in household life. Who can do that? Thieves, professional servants, soldiers, and merchants try to acquire money even by risking their very dear lives. Now this is the verse. I was in New Vrindavan in 1976, and Prabhupada was there, and he gave a class, I think it was 76 or 74, on this verse, and he read this. He actually had his servant read this. This is the next word. Listen to this. This is the nature of attached householder. How can a person who is most affectionate to his family, the core of his heart being always filled with their pictures, give up that association? Specifically, a wife is always very kind and sympathetic and always pleases her husband in a solitary place. Who could give up such the association of such a dear and affectionate wife? Small children talk in broken language, very pleasing to hear, and their affectionate father always thinks of their sweet words. How could he give up their association? One's elderly parents and one's sons and daughters are also very dear. A daughter is especially dear to her father, and while living at her husband's house, she is always in his mind. Who could give up that association? Aside from this and household affairs, there are many decorated items of household furniture, and there are also animals and servants. Who could give up such comforts? The attached householder is like a silkworm which weaves a cocoon in which it becomes imprisoned, unable to get out. Simply for the satisfaction of two important senses, the genitals and the tongue, one is bound by material conditions. How can one escape? When Prabhupada read that verse, he had his glasses on like he had now, those big glasses. He read, and he had the verse read, and then he looked up at all of us, and he just went, just see. And everybody just cracked up. And then Prabhupada said, purport. Then he got serious again, and he had the purport read. But here, what is this? These are a series of verses. There's actually 4 verses. And this is the nature of attachment. One gets so attached that one can't actually see outside of their attachment. And to give up the attachment is worse than death. Devotees are detached from all this. They may be in contact with these same things, but they know that these things are simply features of household life. But my real attachment is to hear about the glories of the Lord, to chant the glories of the Lord, to associate, as it says in the verse we read, with persons who are advanced in spiritual life. And then one gets what we say, the adhikara, when we say the desire to give up materialistic life. And especially, it's not meant to stay in grihastha life to the end of life. The Varnashram system, the scientific system, to teach how to go through different stages of life, cuts one away from all materialistic activities and attachments at a certain age, and then allows one to focus fully on hearing and chanting and engaging in devotional service. So, that is the process. But people die in this household life. I mean, you read in the 4th canto how when a person is dying, he's just thinking, oh, who will manage the family? Who will take care of the expenses? Who will do this? He's dying. He's leaving, and still he's worrying about what's going to happen. He's just still thinking about all the things that he's going to leave behind. He has nothing to do with it anymore. And he never really had anything to gain from it in the first place. And he's still trying to manage it. And he's telling his children, you take care of this, you do that, I'm dying. No, this is actually what we use the word pitiable. Or what we say, what's another word? Yeah, it's actually pitiable. It's sad. And people just waste their whole life simply for these things, which animals do naturally and easily. So human life is not meant to get entangled in the useless affairs of materialistic life and waste time. Time is more precious than money. People work hard for money, and they spend their time to get money. They think money is more important than time, but time goes one way. It's always going the same way. But money, you can get it, and you can lose it, and you can get it again. But time, Krishna says, I am that time. And time is always moving closer to the end of this body. So a devotee thinks, how can I use my time in the best way to become Krishna conscious? So, grihe tako bane taka sabda hari bole tako. No matter what you are, chant the holy names of the Lord and hear and chant the glories of the Lord. Akama sarva kama va moksha kama udaradi tivrena bhakti yogena yajeta purushampura. Whether you have all material desires, no material desire, you desire liberation, do the same thing. Hear and chant the glories of the Lord. This is the process of purification. This is the process of Amrita. And we do that. But the problem is in our society, we don't do it enough. We don't do it enough. I think we're learning more and more that this is where our happiness is. It's not that we have to simply use 1 or 2 hours a day and then the rest of the day something else. Of course, service is important and necessary, but we should also take time to hear and chant the glories of the Lord. So much so that we want to get that taste to hear. It's not like we just want to hear as a function and then go on to something else. Oh, I did my hearing. I want to hear about Krishna's pastimes. Krishna's pastimes are sweet. They're Amrita. His pastimes in Mathura are sweet. And in Dwarka they're sweeter. But in Vrindavan they're the sweetest of all. So Krishna's pastimes are always sweet, but there's different intensities of sweetness. So, well, according to our different natures, we might hear about Lord Chaitanya or Lord Ram. I was just thinking on Ramayan. No, I was thinking on Ram Navami. I get the same thing every year. Same thing happens to me every year. I want to read the Ramayan around Ramayan Ram's appearance day. I'm thinking, when am I going to find time to read the Ramayan? It takes so long to read the Ramayan. So I'm just thinking, how can I get that nectar? Because Ram's pastimes are so nice. So much we can really identify with Ram as a personality that is very similar to what we're going through in our day-to-day life. Krishna's a little different. But Ram, his pastimes really resonate with our life in terms of we can learn so much and experience so much happiness from that. So, in any case, this is the process. So, therefore, these purports are generally for the materialistic householder, but we should also reflect on what is being said here and seeing if we're falling into materialistic consciousness in household life, because it's easy to do that. It's easy to get attached, easy to think that you're the proprietor, it's easy to think that you're the enjoyer. It's very natural to think this is my wife, this is my husband, these are my children, this is my home, this is my money. Aham janasamoham yamaham mameti. I and mine. This is the illusion. It's not. Nothing near mama. Nothing belongs to the conditioned soul. Everything is given to us for a purpose, but everything belongs to the source where it comes from, and that is the Supreme Lord. So we use that. Therefore, I serve my wife or my husband as a way to serve Krishna. And by serving them nicely, I serve Krishna and please Krishna through serving them. And I serve Krishna also by serving them, and I serve them by serving Krishna. So in the same way, we have nothing to be attached to. We have responsibilities, but our real attachment, Prabhupada said, you want to live in this world and be happy in Grihastha life? He said, Lord Chaitanya has given the formula. What's the formula? He says a woman, she has a husband, but she has a lover also. And she's more attached to her lover than her husband. But in order for her husband not to suspect her affairs with her lover, she does her service to her husband nicely. Very, what we say, dutifully and very properly. But in her mind, in her heart, she's always thinking about her lover. That's how you live in this world. I'm doing my duty, but I'm always thinking, when can I chant the holy names? When can I associate with devotees? When can I hear and chant the glories of the Lord? That eagerness within the heart and mind brings us more and more into the activities. That's how we're supposed to live. We do our duties as responsibilities, but our heart and mind is in Krishna. Because that's really where the heart and mind can feel satisfaction, not in materialistic life. Okay, so this chapter that we're just beginning. It's a long chapter called Ideal Family Life. So Prabhupada at the beginning is showing us what is not ideal. Any questions? Comments?